You just want to go raw.
Just raw dog it. Just running late. I fucked up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, where were you?
I was at the fish shop.
Were you getting another spider crab thing?
The spider crab died.
Oh, well, I mean, it was terrifying, so.
Yeah. Not its fault, though.
No, not like it didn't deserve to live because it was terrifying. It was just terrifying.
Well, I don't know what happened. But I didn't tell you about this, but on Sunday, Belle's dad sent us one of those messages that sounds a chill down my spine.
Yes.
And the message was, we're getting 15 koi carp delivered on Sunday. Can you come help?
15 what?
Koi carp. So you know
carp,
the pond,
like the fish, the carp.
Yeah, you know the pond they've got in the back garden?
Yes. Okay.
It's got fish that are like this bigger, yeah?
Yeah.
So Sunday, Paddy, Belle's dad's builder, turned up with his van. In the back had a massive, like, container of water. And in it were 23 fish, some of which weighed above 4 kilos.
Yeah, aren't carp like this big?
Yeah, they were like this. I've got photos. They were bending the net. Like these, like one of the, like Belle's mum asked me to pick one up and hold it for a picture. I genuinely couldn't because it was so big.
Probably a little slimy too.
Yeah.
Fish. Why? So her parents just have massive fish in a tiny pond now.
No, they are they are the right size of fish for that pond because the pond is like big enough for the fish that big. But yeah, apparently they'd outgrown some guy's pond and he was getting rid of them. So
they migrated them.
Yeah.
To there. Okay.
But they were huge.
I mean, there you go, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful.
That was weird.
Since I've sat here, I've watched the weather go from gloriously sunny, like blindingly sunny, straight to total cloud cover. To the point where I think it's going to rain in the next hour or so, and I've been sat here for about half an hour.
Are you sailing this afternoon? Is that why you're now annoyed that it's going to rain?
Oh no, I'm just just observing the pattern of the world. We still can't go sailing. I've heard some, I mean, on top of the fact that the clubs are all still closed because we're still in lockdown until at least the 15th, the 19th, the 20th. I don't know. It's still pretty unclear.
Yeah.
I've also been told that like sailing is apparently illegal right now. Like there aren't boats allowed on the lake.
Okay.
Which I also am confused about. Like one of my sailing coach friends who started working at a club next to mine.
Yeah.
Was like, "Oh, this boat pulled in today," right? And was like, "Oh, there's some illegal sailing," and I'm like, "Well, I mean, yeah, they technically can't pull into your docks because you're closed." But what's illegal about sailing? And she's like, "There's no boats allowed on the lake," and I'm like, It's May though. Like it's not February when like you're not when you literally shouldn't be sailing because it's frozen.
Yeah. I mean, with the best will in the world, if we're allowing some, I don't know what the situation is in Canada, but surely like sailing is one of the best kind of social distance activities.
Well, this is what I've been saying the whole time. I mean, they shut down sailing and everything else before they shut down golf, for God's sake. They finally did shut down golf like a week later. Yeah. But when they shut everything down, they were like, "Oh, we're going to close basically everything. Oh, but you can still golf and go to the driving range. And I'm like, well, if you can go golfing and go to the driving range, you
I
can
can
go, you can get in a boat and sail on the open water of Lake Ontario and still be safe enough.
I can
And
understand
like,
that. I would understand crew, like that kind of stuff. But if you're one person single-handing a boat,
all of my kids are.
yeah,
Yeah, but
you know, it's not as-
we're not allowed to gather at the club, even though I have at the most, I think at the most I have like 4
okay.
lasers, and then like there'd be other teams, so there'd be other groups there.
Mm.
But I just like spring training was supposed to start basically when we went into our second lockdown, like literally right at the start of it. And
Have
I
you
just,
seen the new laser picos, by the way?
pardon?
Have you seen the new laser picos?
I have not seen the new Picos.
So you know the standard pico that was quite capsizy anyway.
Yes, the blue one.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
made it narrower.
Okay. Yeah, let's make a youth educational boat narrower and more likely to capsize.
Yeah.
Right. Well, welcome to Better Luck next week, because I'm not going to get into that. That is so stupid. So we already wish better luck to whoever the hell decided to design the Pico.
Mm-hmm.
And
Or
we could dedicate a whole episode to sailing when there's less going on, to be honest, because
we both like sailing, so
and there's a whole debacle with laser as a whole, because laser performance totally screwed up the patent for the laser, and now there's these new things called ILCAs, which are, it's just the worst acronym I've ever heard.
Yeah.
What do you sail? Oh, I sail an ILCA. It just doesn't feel right to say. Anyway, International Laser Class Association boat. It's literally the same boat. The patents all fuck. Anyways, we've got other things to talk about because there's lots going on. So much happened in hockey this week.
I would say let's start with Formula One. We'll quickly go through that. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, super easy.
And then we'll move on to hockey.
Lewis Hamilton got his 100th pole.
Yes.
Like no one else has done that. That's amazing.
Yeah, not by much. I mean, there is
literally 3/100ths of a second.
Yeah. Mercedes, I still think have the edge, but
everything's very clumped together again.
It's so close.
Yeah, at 1 through 8 is just again.
Yeah, it's. I would say down to Alonso in 10th. It's and then even then, if you actually look at the Q2 times.
Oh yeah, like Stroll and Gasly actually have better qualifying times than Norris and Alonso.
Yeah, they would have been right up there. Yuki didn't have a very good one. Apart from that, it was a really good qualifying. A lot of people are having a go because in Q2, Lando Norris's time got deleted and he had to go out again.
Sorry. How do you delete the time?
Well, no, not deleted. So basically what happened was he set off on a flying lap. And when he came into the last bit of the third sector, which I don't know how well you know, Circuit de Catalunya, is basically a slow two chicanes back to back.
Right. Yeah.
The problem is that all the cars go really slowly through the chicane and then accelerate out so that they have space between them. The problem was that Lando Norris came round at the same time. 2 Haas's, 2 Williams's, and 2 other cars were all slowly going through this section. And the problem was that the 2 Haas's had no, Lando Norris is trying to come through on a flying lap and everyone else is trying to go through slowly, and he got held up by 600th of a second. Looking at it, I don't really know what anyone else could have done.
Other than literally just get out of the way.
There wasn't space to get out of the way.
Yeah,
and the problem
so they would have had to go off the track and you just,
ruin their tyres. The problem was as well, and this is the one that kind of annoyed me, was that at Catalonia, if this is the circuit, you have a bit that goes straight, chicane, and then that. But they also have an alternative version of the circuit that is just an extra bit of track that still leads onto the main straight. So what the drivers said was they said, well, if someone's calling around on their qualifying lap and we're not, can we use that extra bit to get out of their way? And Formula One were like, no. And then
it
blocks people up. And you're like,
yeah, okay. That doesn't seem to make any sense.
Ricciardo out-qualified Norris for the first time this season. Esteban Ocon did very well.
Remember how I said it was going to rain within the next hour?
Yeah.
It's already raining.
Okay. I think it's going to be a very interesting one. There's a lot of rumours with Valtteri at the moment going around. I don't see much base to them, but...
Yeah, they're like, oh, Valtteri Bottas is going to be fired mid-season. I'm like, has anyone ever been... When was the last time a driver was fired mid-season?
Red Bull did it to Pierre Gasly.
Okay.
But
that was just a stupid situation as a whole.
Yeah, with the best will in the world, until we see someone else in that car, what you've got to remember is that Valtteri Bottas is in the car next to, and this is without question now, the best qualifier in Formula One history by some margin.
Well, I mean, I think you can even I think you can even say that Lewis Hamilton is the best Formula One driver in history.
Yeah, he's outdone Senna. He's outdone Michael Schumacher. Yeah,
he's outdone anyone else in his class at the moment.
Yeah, and Valtteri Bottas was 100th and a bit of a second behind him in qualifying.
In third. Which is what we expect of him, to be 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
As long as you're 2 or 3. I mean, the distance, trying to put a car between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen would have been literally impossible, because Lewis did a 0.74, but Max did a 0.77. Right. So you're talking hundredths of a second.
Yeah, you're talking 3 of difference. So you had to fit it in there at 5 or 6.
Yeah. And Charles Leclerc, being Charles Leclerc, doing very well. Esteban Ocon. I went into this season, if I'm honest, I was worried about Esteban Ocon. Because
I wasn't really
against Fernando Alonso. He was gonna struggle.
Right, Ocon wasn't really on my radar either, and I mean, he's had a good start now.
Yeah,
at least. I mean, it's nice to see Alpine a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, doing well. And then I think the rest of it's kind of Tsunoda and Gasly. I don't know if this circuit really suits the AlphaTauri. They were both struggling with it. Tsunoda wasn't very happy. Pierre wasn't very happy. That's to be accepted. George Russell doing his best. And then, the 2 Haas's again at the bottom. One thing I did want to point out and stuff like that, and a lot of people have said this, I mean, Jenson Button was quite vocal, was that the Haas is a difficult car to drive at the moment. They don't know exactly where, and maybe this goes back what we said to, before the start of the season, that maybe if you had an experienced driver in the car as well as your rookie, getting a handle on these issues might be a bit better. But from watching the onboards, when Nikita Mazepin had his spin this weekend, he'd come out of a corner and he was so gentle on the throttle. I mean, as gentle as you could be. It was like he was pulling away from a junction. And he hits what I would call probably about 90% throttle. And the car just lights up the rears. And at a certain point, I will accept that it is a driver problem. But with a Formula One car, if you can't put your foot flat to the floor in a straight line and know that it's going to be so stuck down that it's going to go, it's not very confidence inspiring. I think, for two guys who it's their first year in Formula One, the car needs to be confidence inspiring, and two, they need to get a handle on these issues. I don't know if maybe a move for Haas would be to get someone like Kevin Magnussen or Romain Grosjean back in as a test driver and go.
To me, it's just not a good. At this point, it's just not a good car. Like I don't really see anything else about it, and they kind of talk about it in Drive to Survive when they're talking about, well, they need new drivers. They're getting rid of both of them. They know they're taking a bit of a risk, but they're going to get rid of both Grosjean and Magnussen and go with two rookies that are bringing in more money.
Yeah.
But what did you put that money to? Because you didn't improve the car, did you?
A lot of people say that their plan is they're putting all of their focus on next year's car, because obviously at the end of this year we throw away these cars. They're no longer, you can't carry anything over.
Right, we get a revamp.
Change. So I think Haas's plan is, well, let's focus everything on, all the money goes into that, and this year let's just give them a year of getting used to it. But I think at the moment
they're just not good cars. Like, yeah, I don't think there's anything else about it. You've got two kids that don't know the ropes in bad cars. I don't think there's anything else about it.
No, I don't think
we didn't really talk about last week's Grand Prix.
That's because it was as boring as watching paint dry.
Oh God, yeah. I'm glad I didn't watch it, to be honest. And
the problem was that to make the teams know how long some of these tires last, and the issue and the head scratcher for me was that they gave them the hardest sets of tires. So the medium was, so they were the hardest of the kind of 9 sets of different tires that they can brand differently. They gave them the hardest ones. And Lewis Hamilton said it perfectly before the race. The hard tire that they gave them could do a race and a half.
Right. So
that was the problem, was that you didn't really see anyone dropping off in pace. So there wasn't, there was some overtakes and stuff like that, but...
Well, we touched on it a bit as well, where the course is so smooth that it's not really doing anything to the tires. So maybe, maybe it was a little bit slippy here and there, but the tires weren't getting worn as quickly as they would elsewhere because the track is so new.
Yeah. Perez did 44 laps on a set of mediums.
And then came in because you literally have to pit once.
Yeah, I think it would have been entirely possible for him. He didn't. It wasn't. They brought him in because his pace was dropping off so much.
Right.
They just were like, yeah, we'll bring him in, and you were just like, Daniel Ricciardo. I think that was a really good race for Daniel Ricciardo because basically his job was get through the field, maximum stack, get through the field, and he showed he could do it, and that was confidence inspiring, which was good.
Well, I had Verstappen, Perez, Hamilton, which was wrong, so I only got 2 points.
Yeah, I think I got the same.
I'm not doing very well to start this season.
Not going well for you.
No.
I think tomorrow I'm gonna go.
I have to go with Hamilton in first because He's
Well,
just got
when
his
Lewis,
one. He's just got his 100th pole. Of course, he's going to win. Like
when Lewis Hamilton's on pole, he doesn't often give it up very easily.
right, and then but then
Not
the significance of it also being his 100th. Like there's no way they're gonna put him in any kind of situation where he loses. So I think I'm gonna go Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas again.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Hamilton, Leclerc, Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc.
God, you love him.
Hey, I put Verstappen in the top 3. That's rare for me.
Yeah, which I will never understand why you do that every time, because he's usually there.
He's very good. He's very, very good.
But then you just don't. You just don't do it. Like it's basically a free point, as I get an email.
I think do we talk about the Red Bull situation? Because we were already starting to. People were already starting to call into question Bottas and Albon. But if we actually look,
Perez?
No, last year.
Oh, last year.
So this year we're we're going, oh, should Mercedes get rid of Bottas halfway through the season when he's 0.1
when he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do.
Yeah. Gap between Perez and Verstappen,
it's much larger.
Is a second.
It's a large second. Well, not really.
I would say it's doing the math.
It's a second.
Call it a second. Call it a second. And with 3 races in.
And it's been about the same, other than, I mean, he did come 4th.
Yeah. But
that was the best, right?
Yeah. The thing is that when
Perez is good at attacking, and like that's why he came 4th.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're all so close, like, yes, he's down in 8th, but that doesn't mean he's not going to get past Ricardo and Sainz.
Oh, I mean, if he'd knocked 200th of a second off of it, he'd have been in 4th.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I get your point.
So, I'm also not going to question anyone who's driving the second Red Bull at this point, because we know that it's designed so particularly for Max Verstappen. I mean, it doesn't make sense that you would design 2 cars for one driver, but that's basically what they did, right?
Yeah, and I think it's difficult because.
Well, and then they wonder why Albon wasn't good, and why Gasly wasn't good, and why Perez isn't as good as they hoped, because I'm pretty sure they thought that they could go 2-3 in every race, and maybe 1-2 or 1-3, or really try and bump Hamilton and Bottas almost off the podium.
When we've got the third person struggling in that second Red Bull, we're like, well.
Right, like it's obviously not the driver here, and you booted Gasly out too soon, and then you booted Albon out too soon.
Well, the thing for me is that so Gasly is a bit of a better one to see, because last year he out-qualified his teammate. This year he's got a rookie as a teammate, so I don't really think you can call that. But he has out-qualified Tsunoda 3 for 3. And
he's been within reach of the top 10 in every race.
Yeah, he's scored
in it.
Done very well, and I think Pierre will possibly get out of the Red Bull family at the end of this year, because there's going to be a seat available in the Alpine.
That's what I was thinking too. Like, if Red Bull's not careful, Gasly's going to get snatched up by somebody. And Gasly's already a bit peeved with Red Bull for them booting him out of the seat mid-season. So And now they've just got Perez. So I'm sure Gasly's sitting with AlphaTauri being like, well, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon if they've just brought Perez in.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't think I look. I'm not the kind of person that makes these decisions, and I don't think there would be. But if at the end of the year, either Fernando Alonso has gone, actually, do you know what? I don't want to race for Alpine anymore, which is what happened with McLaren because he wasn't getting the wins with, he wasn't happy with how things were going at McLaren and went, I'm going to not do this next year. Or, he picks it up and starts out qualifying Ocon, at which point Ocon was out qualified every single time by Daniel Ricciardo. That'd be pretty damning for his career, unfortunately. And there's an available, and he's a French. Pierre Gasly is a French guy in a French car. Brilliant.
Is everything okay over there?
Yeah, Belle's doing something. I don't know what. No, it's okay.
Sounds like she's throwing. It sounds like she's throwing cabinets around.
No, she's fine.
Yeah, I can see Alonso being out qualified by Ocon basically every time. And that's a good pair, in my opinion. You've got two French guys in a French car. What more could you ask for? The French love that anyways. I mean, for the Montreal Canadiens in the NHL.
Fernando Alonso is Spanish.
Pardon?
Fernando Alonso isn't French.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you get Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon in the Alpine. You've got two French guys in a French car. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, it works.
Right? Like, the French love that kind of stuff. Even the French Canadians here, like, they hate it when the Montreal Canadiens don't have a French coach, a French general manager, and a French captain. And so they've got 2 out of 3 right now, but I mean, I'm sure Habs fans would love to have a French captain.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people don't realize is how much of an influence the driver has over the seat. Being the fastest is very important to it, but Charles Leclerc from Monaco, where they sell a lot of Ferraris, looks very good driving a Ferrari, turning up in a Ferrari, very good in the Ferrari adverts.
And he's just got tons of women everywhere.
He is the kind of person that Ferrari want people to think buy their cars.
Literally, you picture a Ferrari and you just picture Charles Leclerc next to it with 2 models. Like,
the next kind of one that I would be thinking about, which Ferrari will want to get in, is Mick Schumacher, because his dad, like, you just put Schumacher on the side of a Ferrari and things will be okay.
Right. You put Schumacher on the side of a Ferrari and everybody just collectively celebrates.
Mm-hmm.
Because they go, oh my God, it's the second coming.
Yeah.
That's all you need, right?
Just because we did comment about Albon, one thing I thought was very cool was that he was testing in DTM recently, and at the moment, he's second fastest by quite a margin.
It's almost like he's a good driver. Speaking of testers, it was also announced that Romain Grosjean is testing for Mercedes.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is cool, yeah.
That's just cool. Every single team on the grid had the opportunity to do something cool and just give everyone a feel good. And Mercedes went, no one else is going to do it, we're going to do it. I'm a little bit annoyed that there were several teams that he had raced for, none of which went, here you go.
Right.
But you know what? Fine. And he's doing very well in IndyCar as well.
He is, and at least somebody did it, right? So we wish him all the good luck.
Yes.
And everything else. Right.
We'll move on to the next one. I'm going to pull the pin on Jared and let him go because.
Well, should we talk about the good stuff in hockey first?
Yeah, go on.
talk about the happy things.
Yeah.
So, of course, the happy things all have to do with women's hockey, because why would men's hockey be remotely entertaining, happy, or fun anymore? Because it's not. I literally had a conversation with a friend of mine here about how hockey in the 2010s, yes, we were younger, but it was also just more fun to watch hockey in the 2010s.
Yeah.
Anyways, not because of less rules or anything like that. It was just more fun because like the atmosphere around hockey was more fun. Now it's just so gross. The atmosphere around hockey in general, men's and women's, it just sucks. It's just got this stench to it. Anyways, the good things about hockey, the PWHPA showcase. Remember, I talked about one in St. Louis a couple of weeks ago, and then it kind of didn't happen. It got postponed. It's now happening May 15, 16. The two American hubs are going to be playing once again. Points are carrying over. I believe the New Hampshire team is winning. It's been a few weeks since I checked in who's winning and whatnot, but I'm pretty sure they are because I have Abby Rock and she's been unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's on May 15th and 16th. I'm pretty sure you can catch that at least on NBC like they did with the Madison Square Garden New York showcase.
Mm-hmm.
So that's happening. That's spectacular. It was also announced that there's going to be a Canadian showcase. Finally, we're getting one the following week, May 24th to 30th. So we're going to wrap up the month of May with a mini tournament, essentially.
Okay.
So, like the American one's kind of been spread over a few weekends, where they've played two or three games a weekend.
Yeah.
And then points are carrying over and whatnot. This one is fully set up as a tournament, right?
Okay.
So I said 24th to 30th. So it's 6 days. 3 teams. You've got the Toronto hub, the Montreal hub, and the Calgary hub.
Okay.
Are all going to play each other in a round robin. Each team's going to play each other twice in the round robin. So that'll be 6 games.
Okay.
Which is awesome. And then there'll be a championship, effectively.
Okay.
So
I just realized I forgot something about Formula One, but finish that.
And we'll come back to that.
We'll have a positive, fun side of the podcast, and then we'll have the things that annoyed us side of the podcast. Got it.
Yeah.
I'm still listening.
So, like I said, championship. It's all going to be on Sportsnet. It's just when on Sportsnet. The round robin is only going to be on Sportsnet now, which is the streaming service. Which is fine, but you have to pay for that. So I'm not thrilled, but at least it's on Sportsnet. And then the actual like playoffs or what's going to be on the weekend will actually be on Sportsnet on television, which you can tune into and watch. So that's good.
Yeah.
But I like that. Like it's like you take a step and a half forward instead of 2 steps forward, right? It's because it's like, well, it's on Sportsnet and there's this, and it's a big tournament and it's going to be great, but it's on the streaming service of Sportsnet. And it's like, well, if you put it on television, all of it, then it would be good. And if Sportsnet had structured themselves in a way that you could do that, then it would have worked out. But Sportsnet structured their channels regionally, and oftentimes you find the same thing airing on 5 channels at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very strange. At least on TSN, like, yes, their channels are regional channels. So like TSN 2 is dedicated to the Winnipeg Jets or whatever, right? TSN 3 is dedicated to the Ottawa Senators and whatever. But when TSN has a big tournament, like a curling tournament or the World Juniors or whatever, they will put, and if games are on at the same time, or like a big tennis match, right? Like if they have Wimbledon or something, there will be different tennis matches on different channels at the same time.
Okay.
Because that makes sense.
See,
so what I don't understand is, like, Sportsnet has 5 channels, but they can't air something else on this on the same channel, or on a different channel at the same time as something else, because, like, so what's going to happen is you're going to have, let's say it's a Thursday night, so like the NHL playoffs will be going on at this point. So let's say Thursday night, right? You'll have the Leafs and the Habs game at 7:00, and then you'll have the Oilers and Jets game at 10:00 or 9:30 or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And those will be on, if it's a national broadcast, especially, so like a Wednesday or a Thursday night, those will be on all 5 of Sportsnet's channels. And they don't air anything else. So, to me, I look at this and I go, wouldn't it be great if that was on Sportsnet television and not Sportsnet streaming that you have to pay for? Because I don't know how I'm going to watch these games, because I don't subscribe to Sportsnet, because I don't, I can't pay for all this stuff. I've got Amazon Prime, I've got Netflix, I've got, I use a friend's Disney Plus, which is a wonderful thing where, like, everybody just shares each other's streaming accounts.
Well, the thing for
if
me,
you didn't know,
this is even worse in the UK. So,
because you have to pay for a TV license no matter what.
Yes, which is why.
So you get TV, right?
No. So if you are watching terrestrial television that comes into your home,
so like BBC, Sky,
BBC One, BBC Two, anything like that, you have to pay for a TV license.
Right.
So we don't have a TV in this house. We have computer monitors.
Right.
Because on a computer monitor, you can stream whatever you like.
Right.
But we're not watching TV. We don't watch TV in this house. The annoying thing is that, for me...
So do you still have to pay a TV license?
No.
No, okay.
They've got rid of that now, because basically a lot of people got really upset because they were like, well, I'm not watching anything on the BBC. Why am I paying £120 a year? So the annoying thing for me is, if I want to watch the Formula One, I have 2 options. I either pay £15 a month basic, and then another £30 on top of that to get the Formula One channel. So £45 a month to watch the Formula One on the Saturday for the qualifying and the Sunday.
Right. Is that just for the weekend?
No. So the problem is that I can't go on my streaming service, because the way that somehow it is that Sky Sports have the license to stream Formula One in the UK. No one else can provide coverage of the Formula One in the UK. So Sky have it in a grip.
Well, yeah, because they're the national broadcaster.
Yeah.
Right. And we in Canada pick up the Sky Sports feed.
You have the Sky Sports feed, but in Canada you can go on Amazon Prime and watch it.
Are you sure? I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, you can. If you've got Amazon Prime, you've got access to the Formula One stream.
Because we do watch it, because we watch it on TSN.
Yeah. So the problem that we have is that I can't go on Sky Sports on Now TV and buy just the Formula One channel. If they gave me a £20 a month subscription just to the Formula One channel, I would watch it. But
that's all you'd need.
Yeah, you can't buy that. To get Sky Sports Formula One, I have to buy Sky Sports 1, 2, 3, 4, Sky Sports Cricket, Sky Sports the main event, and then I get Formula One.
Well, you don't want to watch cricket?
No. I have to buy 5 channels of football, none of which I want to fucking watch, before I get the Formula One.
Well, and this is how they get you, right?
It's just bollocks.
It's like, oh, get this package. It's like, well, no, I don't want this package. I just want that, the thing right there.
I just want the Formula One.
Yeah.
All I And
I
then
love
the
I
only
love
other
how this discussion started with women's hockey and devolved into why cable companies suck.
the only other thing as well that they offer, which really pisses me off because they know they're doing it, is they don't do I want to watch the Formula One this weekend package. I want to watch qualifying and I want to watch the race.
Right.
But because qualifying takes place an hour before, if you buy the 24-hour pass,
oh, you
and
can't watch
qualifying, you can't watch the race.
That's so stupid. Oh god.
What the fuck?
That's laughable, man.
This is another one that wound me up. So the company Autosport, which is a company that covers basically everything that isn't Formula One in the UK, so British touring cars, Le Mans, all that kind of stuff, they also run a subscription service. Now, it's only £5 a month, but the problem is that Monday to Friday, it's pretty much useless. And then at the weekend, the problem is that the British touring cars is broadcast on ITV free. You can watch that. And then all the other stuff is kind of grassroots, low-level sports, which unless you...
It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not the kind of stuff that you go, I'm going to sit on a Saturday and watch that because you probably want to watch Formula One or something. They did the 24 hours of Le Mans on their service, and it was okay. You could pay £5.99 and watch 24 hours of Le Mans. The issue was that you could also watch it on YouTube, but you just had to pick a single car feed. But you still
so you could have like 8 different tabs open with different car feeds going.
Different car feeds. So I think they released their numbers, and 20,000 people watched it on their service, paying £5.99, and 1.6 million watched it on YouTube.
Because it was, what's the word?
Free. The best one in the world. The 24 Hours of Le Mans is a endurance race. You can stuff that mother with ads. Put ads on.
Absolutely. Especially when people go to sleep.
Yeah. Put ads on it. Go for it.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I do enjoy how this devolves into why cable companies are stupid.
Can I talk about the thing that kind of had me laughing first in Formula One?
Well, just before you do that, we also had a couple of things from the NWHL.
Okay.
They had their awards, and Kayla Graham-Mentis for the Toronto Six won MVP. Mm-hmm. A lot of people believe that she was snubbed from Team Canada for training camp for the now canceled World Championships. Mm-hmm. There's definitely an argument there. The only thing I'll say is that she's in the NWHL. Hockey Canada doesn't really support the NWHL. So that's probably why she didn't get considered. It's stupid that's why she didn't get considered, but that's probably the grassroots reason for it when you get down to it. It sucks, but that's just that is the landscape of women's hockey at the moment. Also, the NWHL did double their salary cap. It went from $100,000 to $300,000.
That's good.
It is good.
Benefit.
It means that the women can make more money. They won't make a livable wage still because the actual base, just because the salary cap went up, that doesn't necessarily mean that the salaries have increased. It just means
It's a
that
step in the right direction.
there's more space under the cap. So yes, some players might end up making a little bit more money and stuff like that, but in relative, when you look at it from a big picture, it doesn't really give them that much more money, because I don't think they actually you see, I'm not 100% sure because I haven't looked at it, but I only just saw the base tweet that was like the salary cap has doubled from 150K to 300K. I don't actually know if the max salary for players has increased. It probably has, because the salary cap has increased. But again, it's not by much, and it's not a livable wage, right? And there again, just because the max salary has increased, that only means that the highest paid players are going to get paid a little bit higher. But still, like the lower, like, like the third, fourth line players are still going to not get that much at all.
No, but it'll start to it'll
Yeah.
start to create the market,
Yeah.
because you'll have a player who will go, well, I'm not going to play for you because if I go over there, I'm going to get $1,000 more, and then go there and get paid $1,000 more, and then the team will go, actually, well, now, and it'll start to come up. I think 300.
That's at least the idea. Again, the thing about the NWHL is that they all have to consider their jobs, right?
Yeah, which is why I still think that they should put the idea that we brought forward, which is make each NHL franchise create a ladies team, because you could turn around to them and go, if you create a ladies team and your ladies team salary is going to cost you $2.5 million, but you can have $2.5 million on top of your salary cap, I guarantee you that they're going to bring in a player for $2.5 million, and then they're actually going to go, well, we've got $2.5 million that we can, like, $2.5 million to an NHL franchise is nothing.
Yeah, that's a third line player.
Yeah, but when the team that has their name on the chest starts not doing well, they'll go, well, let's get that girl. Okay, how much is she being paid now? Oh, okay. Well, she's being paid 150. Right, we'll pay her 160 just to come here.
Or we'll pay her we'll pay her 500 because that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Bring her in.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. That would require any kind of like progressive thinking from Gary Bettman, which does not happen at all, especially with what's happened over the last week. But you have something to say before I go off for the next 20 minutes.
Yes. So the next race in the Formula One calendar is Monaco. Now, before Monaco, what the drivers really like to happen is, so there is not that much time that Monaco, because when you race at Monaco, you have to shut down Monaco.
Right.
Because no one can get around. You've shut half of the town to make the circuit. So what the Formula One teams really like is for other race series to come in before them and lay down loads of rubber, because that makes the road really sticky. So they love when the Monaco Historique comes in, because that's loads of old Formula One cars with really big tyres laying so much rubber down. They love that. Formula E is there this weekend.
Oh.
And they have tyres that purposely don't degrade. So the Formula One teams are like, we need rubber. And the Formula E guys are like, we're trying.
We don't do that.
We don't do that. But they are racing around the full Monaco layout this weekend, which is good. So that was all I wanted to say. I'm going to pull the pin.
Is there no one else that can race as well as Formula E?
Well, it's the Jaguar E-Pace thing.
Okay, so it's all electric cars.
It's all electric cars, none of which really do much to tires.
It's all super happy Earth times.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. Not bad.
They're just not as, loud.
Mm.
Okay, so I sent you everything, and
Yep.
I'll get your opinion at the end. But basically, we had a lovely situation in the NHL again. The New York Rangers were playing the Washington Capitals on Tuesday evening, and things were getting a little bit chippy. People were getting upset, and Tom Wilson in front of the net took a New York Rangers player down. His name's Pavel Buchnevich. He was taken down. It's strange because you can kind of see Tom Wilson's stick kind of pressed against Pavel Buchnevich's neck as he falls down. And then on top of that, so Pavel Buchnevich is literally face down on the ice with a stick somewhere underneath him, whether it's in his neck or his upper chest or face or whatever. There's a stick underneath him. So completely vulnerable position, and Tom Wilson punches him. There's been some debate as to where he was punched. Some people say that Tom Wilson punched Buchnevich in the back of the head. Other people have said that, oh, look at it, he punches him in the back of the shoulder. To me, it doesn't particularly matter. You punched a man in a vulnerable position with a padded glove. So basically a boxing glove.
Well, no. So a boxing glove is padded to protect the person it's hitting and the person that is being.
So this is less of a boxing glove because
it's an armored glove. Its purpose is to protect just the person wearing it. It doesn't care who it hits.
Correct. So that happens. Artemi Panarin, who's the highest paid star player of the New York Rangers, like top 10 player in the league, Artemi Panarin, sees this happen, sees that there has been no penalty called by the referee in the corner because his arm has not gone up, and decides to jump Tom Wilson. Not exactly the greatest decision by Artemi Panarin because Artemi Panarin is about our size, and Tom Wilson is 6'3", 200 pounds, and will beat the snot out of you. But anyways, Artemi Panarin trying to defend his teammate. The New York Rangers aren't exactly a built team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's too much thought into the decision-making process going there. I think that it's not a great decision, but I think that if you see a fellow teammate in a vulnerable position with his head on the ice and he's being punched in the back of the head, I don't think you go, is this good for the rest of my career? Is this good for my team? You go, fuck, my teammate's getting his ass handed to me. I need to help, kind of thing. That's where it's from me.
It was just a chain of bad decisions that kept leading on. So, that was bad decision number 2. Bad decision number 3 was Tom Wilson realizing somebody's jumped him, turning around, looking and going, oh, this is star player Artemi Panarin. I have 2 options here. I can let him kind of try and rough me up a bit.
Yeah.
Knowing that that's not going to have much of an impact on me because he's basically a child punching his uncle.
Yeah.
And just kind of let that go and nothing will come of it. Or I can throw him to the ice, of which he also does not have a helmet on. So who knows what would happen. Tom Wilson, being Tom Wilson, picks the latter choice and body slams Artemi Panarin without a helmet on. And also, they get finagled in such a way where Artemi Panarin's face ends up next to Tom Wilson's skate, which I'm like, And Artemi Panarin hits his head off the ice as well. So it's announced that Panarin is out for the rest of the season. Tom Wilson did not have a hearing for what he did. He was merely fined $5,000 based on which is the maximum fine under the CBA of the NHL. 5K for that. And the teams then played the following night. So Tom Wilson is in that game. The New York Rangers are absolutely furious that Tom Wilson has not had a suspension for punching one of their players in a vulnerable situation, and then also taking their star player out for the rest of the season. There's Tom Wilson defenders that will go, oh, it's only 3 games in the rest of the season. It doesn't matter. The season's over in a week. It's still the rest of the season. It doesn't matter how many games it is. If this happened in February, he would probably still be out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Because it's likely that he has a concussion. Because he hit his head off the bloody ice. So the New York Rangers release a statement. Let me just, I was going to find it for this and I forgot to. So let me just find it here. But basically, they came out with this statement. From what I understand, this statement was not really approved by management. So it looks like this statement came from ownership. So the statement reads, the New York Rangers are extremely disappointed that Capitals forward Tom Wilson was not suspended for his horrifying act of violence last night at Madison Square Garden. Wilson is a repeat offender, fact, with a long history of these types of acts, fact, and we find it shocking that the NHL and their Department of Player Safety failed to take the appropriate action and suspend him indefinitely. Wilson's dangerous and reckless actions caused an injury to Artemi Panarin that will prevent him from playing again this season. We view this as a dereliction of duty by the NHL head of player safety, George Peros, and believe he is unfit to continue his current role.
Right, so let's just pause for a minute here. Let's just break this down. Let me know if I've got any bit wrong.
Yeah.
The body boy's on the ice and he's an experienced player.
Experienced player in his early 30s with a rap sheet of being aggressive, sometimes violent, and occasionally considered dirty player.
So first, puts a player to the ice with a stick to the guy's throat.
After the whistle.
And then, you can say it how you will, punches a guy that's on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter. There's no arguing about that. Face down. No arguing about that.
Nope.
He then is somehow not stopped at that point.
By any referee or linesman at all.
Yeah. Turns around, and because the refs haven't done anything, another player's had to come in and save his body, basically, because he doesn't know if this guy's going to stop. His friend is on the ice being beaten up. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know he's going to stop. This guy's come in. He's body slammed him to the ground on an ice rink and then continued to go at him until this was stopped. So, why is this guy still playing? If you did that in the street, you'd be in jail.
Yep.
So, for me, I would go, right. First, you assaulted a player that was already on the ground. If the guy had stood up, thrown his gloves down, and you'd have the fight and he'd hit the ground, then once he's hit the ground, he's out. You put your gloves up and you skate away. You've hit a player that's undefended. That's a fucking season ban. Right there. Ban for the season.
Yeah.
The second one is you then turn around and you seriously injure another player. That's another season ban because he's now fucking gone.
Yeah.
Right? And before we get anywhere else, all of those fucking refs, they're all getting fucking no pay for that match. Because if they come into my office, I wouldn't even have the conversation. I'd withhold the paychecks, and when they go, "Why didn't you pay us?" I'd go, "Why the fuck did you let 2 players have their asses handed to them? Your job to be there is to make that be safe.
Police the game, yeah.
Police the game. The guy's on the floor, he's getting punched in the back of the head, and the guy's still there." And then the next bit that fucking baffles me is why in a league where you have players getting paid from anywhere from 10 million to 5 million a year, minimum salary for a player?
Minimum salary $700K.
Okay, so you got people paid $700K a year, and your maximum fine is $5,000.
Yeah.
If I'm an NHL player on £700,000 a year, and you fine me $5,000, my biggest annoyance is that I can't do that on a contactless card. Because that's fucking pennies to these guys.
I don't understand why fines are not a percentage of their salary.
To me,
it shouldn't be 5,000. It shouldn't be 5K. It should be 5% of your cap.
Yeah.
Of your cap hit. Because Connor McDavid makes $13 million a year. $5,000 to him is like whatever.
Nothing.
Right? But then $5,000 to a guy like Jason Spezza who makes $700K is a bit more like, oh, okay, you know, it's a bit more of an inconvenience.
It's one of those things that your agent pays for, and I guarantee you that the level of these guys is that they could probably find a sponsorship deal, you know, turn up at a fucking kid's birthday party or do a hockey camp for an afternoon and you'll get $15,000.
And the agent goes, yeah, that sucks a bit. Maybe don't do that again, right? Okay.
Well, I wouldn't even bring it up in conversation. Honestly, if I was looking after an athlete who was on $5 million a year and they got a $5,000 fine, I'm not having that conversation with them. I'm getting my assistant to pay that, and then if they turn around and go, "Oh, I got a $5,000 fine," I go, "It's not very good for your public image." It's financial. It's done more of a damning thing to his financial image than the thing. The thing for me, I think that the people that need to start dealing with penalties are the people that run blank pan, because they have a rule: if you ruin someone's race, we will ruin yours.
Right.
So what happened quite recently? It happened to Chris Harris in 2019. He was going round. He was in an AM car in a Bentley GT3 at Spa. Through no fault of his own, he got shunted by a Mercedes GT3 car that was fighting for the lead of the race. Do you want to know what the fine and because it was completely this pro driver's fault. He tried to overtake where you shouldn't overtake and basically gave Chris an option of crash into a wall or let me by.
Right.
They gave him a 3-minute time penalty, which in a 12-hour race is fucking hours.
Yeah.
That's not a 3-minute time penalty where you can work on the car. No, the driver has to pull into the pit box, turn the car off, and sit there for 3 minutes.
God, that must feel like a century.
Before you can do... And the thing was, it ruined their race.
Oh, I'm
their
sure.
Race done.
You're not competing for the lead after that.
No, you're not making 3 minutes up. And the other thing was that they were charged the Bentley's repair bill.
Nice.
And $100,000. They also, at the next race, got an extra 10 kilos of ballast.
It's just here's a brick. You have to race with that too.
But the thing was, you now don't have pro drivers fucking over AMs because they know for a fact that if it happens, they are fucked.
Yeah. And
that should be it. This guy right now should be looking at at least a year ban.
Like the Washington Capitals are going to be in the playoffs. Tom Wilson should not be playing in the playoffs.
No, he should not be playing for the rest of this year at a minimum. Like him not playing for the rest of this year shouldn't even be a conversation we're having. Whether he plays again in the next 2 years is, because the way I look at it, you violently attacked someone who was undefended. That's a year gone. For me, that's a year. And how can the conversation go when you sit him down? Why did you punch a man who was on the floor? Oh, he was fighting back. No, he wasn't. He was on the floor.
He couldn't look at you.
Yeah. So you've gone for a year straight away. And then
you body slammed someone else.
I would say with possibility a year and a half to a year and 6 months. So a season and a half.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
then,
I mean it for me it's hard to argue because and then you have the New York Rangers calling for so
I would
then
say as well, 500,000, like I would honestly say $500,000 fine to the player, and then honestly write a fucking blank check to the team, because this needs to be so brutally clear to teams that this can't happen.
Right, but it's not. And what in fact what the NHL's done, because so the New York Rangers come out with that statement, right? They call for George Paros's job, and they say that Tom Wilson did a horrifying act, which, I mean, horrifying, I don't know about horrifying, but it's, they're upping the drama to make their point because it's not cool.
No, but I think the thing is you've got to look at how lucky this guy got.
Right. So he only gets a fine and he gets to play in the next game.
Jared, I'm saying with what he walked away from, because you punched a guy whose head was on the ice.
Yeah.
Now, that's a head against a hard object in a fist. So the skull is the thing that has to move. So you could have fucking cracked one guy's skull. And then also, if you're body slamming another guy onto the skull, the first thing that the human body does when it's moved back like that is the head goes back.
Mm-hmm. Which is why Artemi hit his head on the ice.
Yeah. We could have quite easily been having a conversation now about the fact that two NHLers are in the hospital with serious head injuries.
Well, and then on top of that, Tom Wilson's skate ended up next to Artemi Panarin's head. It could have been on his.
Ugh. You could have it does, honestly, it does not take that much to give yourself a serious head injury.
No, it doesn't. I've done it.
Yeah. These two guys could have been in hospital right now and could have been in hospital for a serious period of time with serious head injuries.
Right. And Artemi is sat at home right now, probably in a dark room, not doing anything and looking at anyone because he's got a concussion. Yeah. So that happens. They play the game the following night. A second into the game, like the puck drops, line brawl. Immediate line brawl.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. If you're in the locker room and the coach turns around and says, do nothing, I don't care if I'm the fourth line guy.
Mm-hmm.
The very first thing I'm doing when I'm coming onto the ice is just punching someone incredibly hard in the face.
Yep.
Because
so there was a line brawl, and then the first shift.
Yeah.
The first shift for Tom Wilson, he gets jumped. Yeah. They fight. The guy that started the fight, Brendan Smith, got an instigator penalty, so he got an extra 10 minutes. Where Tom Wilson was back out of the box after 5 minutes, which is hilarious. And then Tom Wilson actually then left the game because he had an upper body injury.
No, that's not. I'm sorry, but if you turned around to me the night before and I'm a guy on the fourth line and I'm a bit big and I know what I'm doing.
That was Brendan Smith.
I as the senior leadership are turning around to that guy and going, look, tomorrow's game, your contributions hockey-wise don't matter. But us as a senior leadership will pay you a £5,000 fine if you go and knock that guy the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
If it was me, as we're doing the fucking line-out skates, when he's going by me, he's getting an elbow to the fucking chin.
Just in the pre-game warm-up.
Just like, if I'm that team, I'm signing Conor McGregor up to a fucking contract.
A 1-day contract.
Connor, go out and lay him the fuck out. Oh, yeah, I can't see it. Don't worry about it, Connor. Just go up and knock him the fuck out.
Yeah.
And then Connor is like, why is Conor McGregor coming onto the ice in, like, not even wearing skates?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, he's got a $5,000 fine? Oh, no.
So
it's dumb.
So this all happens.
Yeah.
The league. Oh, and on top of that, Pavel Buchnevich, who was the guy that got punched face down on the ground, goes after another Washington Capital who had been hacking at his legs and kind of roughing him up a little bit already with no penalties. So Anthony Mantha's his name. Mantha slashed him about 3 times in the back of the leg, gave him a cross check, also hit him a few times. So they skate away from each other, and as they come and skate back to each other, Buchnevich just goes boof. Cross-checks him square to the face. Both of them drop the gloves, start trying to fight each other. So after that, after the game's over, hold on. And we got to wrap soon, but I have to get the rest of this in. Buchnevich has a hearing with the NHL for cross-checking Anthony Mantha in the head. And the New York Rangers get fined $250,000 for the statement that they made. This is a quote from the NHL, the unfair statement to question the integrity of the head of Department of Player Safety is the reason behind this $250,000 fine. And Pavel Buchnevich gets suspended 1 game for cross-checking Anthony Mantha in the head. Now, literally all the NHL needed to do to avoid all of this was suspend Tom Wilson 1 game, which was the next game against the New York Rangers. That's all you needed to do. You didn't have to suspend him for a month, for 5 years. Just suspend him 1 game. The guy's already been suspended a bunch of times. He's got a rap sheet. Like, I don't understand how you look at this and go, oh, well, but he's been suspended so many times, so we can't suspend him again, can we? Because it's Tom Wilson. And like the problem with the NHL, hold on a sec, Gav. The problem with the NHL is that the Department of Player Safety does not look at the act and go, this is what happened. They look at, it's more important to them who committed the act, what team they play for, who did they commit the act against, and what team did they play for. Those 4 things are all more important to the NHL than what was actually committed. Because they look at it where, did he directly break a rule? Well, based on the fact that the NHL referees didn't call any penalties, hold on. Based on the fact that the NHL the referees didn't call any penalties, therefore no rules were broken, therefore we'll only fine him. That is seriously the logic that was used to determine this.
If you called a police officer in Canada, UK, wherever you are, and said, I have witnessed a guy put another guy on the floor, punch him in the back of the head, his friends come to defend him, and he's knocked that guy the fuck out as well, that guy is going to prison for a few years for grievous bodily harm.
He's at least going to be tried for assault.
Yeah. He's going to jail.
You know, and I don't understand why assault is just legal in hockey, and everybody goes, oh well, that's old time hockey, you know, they're just roughing each other up. No, they're not. Roughing each other up is, you know, getting into a bit of a scrap where the 2 players are face to face looking at each other going, oh yeah, you want to go? Oh, your mom's so fat. Oh, whatever, right?
Yeah. The thing is the whole I think that there is obviously a part of hockey that is fighting. It's the same thing in rugby. Every now and again, people in rugby have a fight.
Right. They shove each other around. They get into a little scrap, and the ref goes, all right, that's enough.
But the thing with that is that's if 2 players in hockey skate up to each other, if 2 300-pound behemoths skate up to each other, chuck the gloves off and go, right, we're going to have a fight, that's okay, because that's two people going, we are going to have a fight. Yeah. And there's a fairness to that because both people have gone. But if a 206.5 man turns around to a 5'11", 160-pound weight kid and decides to knock him the fuck out, that's not okay.
Right, especially when he's not in a position to do so. So anyways, it's all kind of starting to blow over now. But yeah, I do not understand, like the NHL this season in particular, and I tweeted this. This season has been a PR nightmare for the NHL between their lack of any sort of diversity initiatives whatsoever, their one sentence statement on the George Floyd trial and the conviction of that guy, one sentence where they couldn't even mention George Floyd's name. They just went, oh, we hope that everybody can be better friends, basically, is what they said. So diversity is just insignificant to the NHL. Mm-hmm. And now their whole officiating system has been exposed for the fact that it's not actually, the rules don't matter. It's just keeping the penalties even, and we got to invent a penalty there because we called 2 penalties against the other team. So even though this guy literally fell, we have to invent the fact that he was tripped by so-and-so because his stick was in the vicinity. It's literally what happens. And there's just a complete disregard for actually keeping their players safe. They don't care to keep their players safe. All they care about is just, I don't even know at this point. So I also am calling for George Paros's job because he's not doing a good one. Well, I don't care what all the pundits and all the old time hockey guys say. Why do you have a guy? This is the serious problem. You've got a guy who is the head of keeping players safe, who in his hockey career demolished and beat the crap out of people. George Parros was a goon in his career, and now he's responsible for keeping players safe? No wonder he's defending the other goons.
Do you know in Formula One, do you know who the head of the Formula One Drivers Association is? So that's the Formula One, if the driver's got a problem, this is the person that's speaking on their behalf. Do you know who it is? George fucking Russell.
Right.
Because he's a current Formula One driver. So this is the important thing. This doesn't need to be a guy that's retired from hockey and all this kind of stuff, because with technology nowadays and all this kind of stuff, this needs to be a hockey player from each hockey team that they all have a meeting and they sit down and they look at these things and they go, is this safe? Is this not? Because I guarantee you that if every single other team looked at this, right now they're going, well, actually, this needs to be stamped out. Because let's say, for example, this team plays the Maple Leafs tomorrow. Now, their goon player has just found out, well, I can
body slam a guy and it doesn't matter.
If I fly into Austin Matthews and I knock him out for 3 weeks, well, the Leafs haven't got him for 3 weeks, which means we can beat them.
Right. And the flip side of that is I've seen people go, oh, well, if this wasn't Tom Wilson, then we wouldn't care. If Austin Matthews did this to freaking Joe Blow on the 4th line of the Montreal Canadiens, I wouldn't care. I'd want Austin Matthews suspended for however many games he should get. Anyway, we have to wrap because I have to go on. It is 2:00.
Right.
But
love you, buddy.
Yeah. We can maybe talk about it a bit more next week because it's the end of the NHL season next week and everything. But that's that. Tom Wilson shouldn't be playing for the rest of this season and playoffs, but he is because the NHL doesn't care. So we wish better luck next week to the NHL and just their mind-numbing stupidity. And all the other losers, including ourselves, of course, because that's what we are.
Yes. Right. Talk to you later, buddy. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.